Welcome back to more Let's Play Mega Man X. Last time we took out 4 Mavericks. This time we're going to take out 4 more Mavericks, starting with Armored Armadillo. As we'll see, his name in Rockman X was Armor Armage. So I didn't mention this in the previous video, because the previous video there was just so much stuff to talk about in such a short amount of time that I just could not fit everything in. The intro stage of Mega Man X. I talked about how it's a great example of fantastic tutorial level design, how it shows versus telling you everything that you need to know about the game. You know, teaching you about the basic running, jumping, shooting, climbing up and down on walls, paying attention to things in stages, and introducing you to the core conceit of the story. And here, by the way, we have the electric spark. Compared to a lot of the other Maverick powers, it's not that useful. I don't use it all that much compared to, say, Storm Tornado or Fire Wave. And this drill, by the way, can be very quickly taken down with Fire Wave, this driller robot. And I would recommend you do so as quickly as possible. One of the things I didn't talk about in regards to the intro stage is that Mega Man X is the first Mega Man game, spin-off or otherwise, to have an intro stage. Mega Man 7, which was the first classic era game that we played that had an intro stage, that released, I believe, in 1995, and Mega Man X, again, originally released in 1993. So another example, another fantastic thing the X series introduced over the classic series to solidify it as its own thing that just made it fantastic and beloved to the point where it became its own entire dedicated sub-franchise, is the intro stages. And this was the first game to have an intro stage in this franchise, and definitely not the last, due to how successful a formula having that intro stage proved to be. This is Armored Armadillo stage, fairly standard stage. I would not recommend going after this stage early on, even if you already acquired the foot parts from Chill Penguin, or put in a password in the password generator to let you start off with the foot parts. I wouldn't recommend you go after Armored Armadillo first. His weakness directly ties into making his battle actually easy and manageable. This driller robot right here, the first driller robot you destroyed was optional. It was just, you destroyed it for funsies, just to prove that you can. The second one you destroy as quickly as possible so you can get that heart tank. I wouldn't recommend going after Armored Armadillo early on in the game, because Armored Armadillo is difficult. He can be quite difficult if you don't have his weakness. His weakness being Spark Mandrill's Electric Spark. You're gonna need it specifically because well, his fight... Well, by the way, that's kind of suspicious, that little energy pellet there. We'll come back to that later. This fight is not manageable if you don't have Armored Armadillo's weakness. A lot of this game is quite manageable if you just go in with bare bones basic attacks, but Armored Armadillo, as the name implies, and as the animal that he is looking like implies, is armored up and invincible most of the time. When he's attacking, he can take your charge attacks and just use them to power up his own retaliatory blast. It's not fun. You don't want to deal with that. It does a lot of damage, and it's very difficult to dodge. You'll also, when he's armored up, you have very little opportunities to actually hit him, especially when he's rolling around and stuff. So you want to use the electric spark to shock the armor off of him, and then he is vulnerable all the rest of the time. Even when he is curled up into his ball and jumping around the arena, he is still vulnerable to attacks at that point if he doesn't have his armor anymore. If he has his armor, then he's basically almost completely invulnerable. You can kind of aim an attack into him. That's more true, I guess, in the remake of Mega Man X than it is in the original X, but it is possible technically to still do some damage to him while he is armored up, but it's very, very difficult and very drawn out, and you really just want to use his weakness, which is, again, Electric Spark, to just shock the armor off of him and make that fight much more manageable. So, yeah, that's Armored Armadillo. I also talked about the intro stage and just how fantastic it is that this game includes that. Now we're going after Launch Octopus, or Launcher Octopold, as he's known in Rockman X. Our obligatory underwater stage, and of course Mega Man X has such great attention to detail that of course your fire weapons will not work under the water, because why would they? We'll demonstrate in 1 second that fire just doesn't work out here, as you can see. You can use your fire wave if you want to, but it doesn't do anything because you're underwater, so obviously it's not going to do nothing. So we're not going to be using fire wave at all, which is fine because Storm Tornado is just so much better, and this is a great stage to demonstrate just how powerful Storm Tornado really is. Mega Man X has an amazing selection of powers to use for his very first outing, but they're not all made equal. And Storm Tornado is very, very obviously the best one in this game. By the way, you can charge up Armored Armadillo's Rolling Shield ability to make it the to actually give Mega Man a shield. It's not a great shield power for X. There's actually a much better shield power that we're going to get later on in this very same game that I think is much better than the Armored Armadillo charged up shield. Here I'm showing off the mini bosses, what it can actually do, since we didn't actually get to see it because I killed it so quickly in the actual run. It can suck you in, it can blow you away. If you die, there's a nice little attention to detail where when you teleport in, you make the water splash. It's a nice little thing. Again, Mega Man X has so many small things like that that just have that just demonstrate such a strong attention to detail that it makes this one of the best games of all times. Not just one of the games of all times, but one of the best games of all times. It's why there is good reason why this is regarded as one of the best games of all times. This second Launch Octopus mini-boss is much more difficult because you're fighting him over spikes, so naturally it's going to be much more difficult. It has a very powerful suck and blow function. If you want to make jokes about that, feel perfectly free to. I mean, why not? Getting past that, however, we're introduced to the next gimmick of Launch Octopus' stage, which is those currents of water that can shoot you up to the surface. It's not really that big. It's not really that big of a thing. It's not really something that comes into play for the actual main part of the stage, but it is something you need to use if you want to get the heart tank of the stage. Not every single stage has multiple things hidden in them. For example, Chill Penguin had both a heart tank and a Dr. Light capsule hidden in it. Storm Eagle had a Dr. Light capsule, a sub tank, and a heart tank hidden in it. Launch Octopus is a stage that only has a heart tank hidden in it, but because it only has the one thing that's hidden, they hide it really well. You have to go up, you have to destroy that submarine. Storm Tornado is the best thing to destroy the submarine because Storm Tornado hits in every single frame. It's also the best thing to use against this second mini-boss in Launch Octopus' stage, this swimming robot sea monsters thing. That swimming robot monster sea monster thing doesn't actually attack you at all. It just swims around. Occasionally it can hurt you by contact, but aside from that, it doesn't really do much of anything aside from swim around. It doesn't shoot anything at you. It just swims around, and we're going to see another variant of it right now. Again, this thing, as you can see, it's coming out of the sand. This thing doesn't actually attack at all. It just swims around. You can jump on it. And, you know, you can shoot it with your buster, but why do that when Storm Tornado just hits every frame, and you can take it out in 2 seconds with the Storm Tornado? So, I mean, not all weapons in this game are made equal. They're all very good, but they're not all made equal, and Storm Tornado clearly stands head and shoulders above everything else most of the time. 90% of the time you're using Storm Tornado for something. Moving on, though, we're about to come up against the mini-boss, the mini-boss. We're coming up against the actual boss. There we go. We went up against 4 mini-bosses in this stage, 5 if you count the submarine. Now it's time for Launch Octopus. Launch Octopus, you can take him on without his weakness. It doesn't change anything using his weakness, it just makes the battle a little bit faster if you use his weakness. He doesn't alternate his strategies at all. His thing is still just jumping about, creating little whirlpools to try and suck you in for contact damage. He can fire missiles, he can fire his homing torpedoes, which is that attack right there. He can also fire missiles at the same time as he does that, and he jumps around. This is basically a War of Attrition boss. I mean, it's been a while since we discussed War of Attrition bosses in the Mega Man series, but this is just a boss that hits you fast and furious. It's pretty vulnerable most of the time, so you can hit it fast and furious back for massive damage, and it's just a war of who can do the most damage in the quickest amount of time. If you use Launch Octopus's weakness, you have a big advantage, but you can also just go in with the Mega Buster on the understanding that it is a War of Attrition. Fire as quickly as possible because your buster shots can destroy the missiles and the homing torpedoes that he fires at you. He is invincible while he does his whirlpool attack, and we get the homing torpedo for our troubles. Here's a cutscene. All right, and with a little bit more setup of why things are the way they are in this game, through that Journal of Dr. Kane entry, we move on to the next Maverick. Boomer Kuwanger, or as he's known in Rockman X, also Boomer Kuwanger. He's the only one that retained his original name when he came when we got other versions of this game. Speaking of other versions of this game, did you know that this game also has a DOS version? Yeah, similar to what? What was it? Mega Man, you know, those old Mega Man games, those old Mega Man DOS games that were made by Rosner Labs. This game also got the DOS treatment by Rosner. Unlike those Mega Man games, those very weird Rosner Mega Man games, Mega Man X is a mostly faithful. It's a mostly faithful port for the DOS. It's a little bit slower. You can check out how the DOS version plays below in the description. So I have a link to someone that did a playthrough of the DOS version. So if you want to check out what the DOS version is like, you can go ahead and check that out. Boomer Kuwanger, not much to his stage. It's pretty demanding for a stage, so I wouldn't recommend you go after it early. I would recommend, like with most stages, even though they can all technically be done without the foot parts, it is a much better idea to have the foot parts and to have the dash than to not have that dash. So this part of the level is just a straight climb. This is the longest part of the level. This is the attrition part of the level. This is one of the reasons why you probably don't want to come here first. You want to have a decent amount of health for some of the stages in this game. One of the ways you plan around one of the ways you plan the order of the Mavericks that you go after in any given X game is, by the way, this particular heart tank, you either use Boomer Kuwanger's weapon to get it, or you use Chill Penguin charged up ability. So you need the arm parts and Chill Penguin's ability in order to get this, or you just need Boomer Kuwanger's weapon. One of the ways you plot out routes in Mega Man X isn't just by determining the weakness order, you know, what Maverick is weak to what power. You also chart out the your routes based on based on when and where you get heart tanks. So, you know, there are just some stages like Boomer Kawangers where you want to go in with, you know, more than just the base starting health. So you would probably never ever go after this stage early on. You can, nothing's stopping you from doing it, of course, but Mega Man X is a series that that requires trial and error to plot out your routes, not just based off of not just based off the weakness that a Maverick may have, but also based off just what kind of collectibles have you already gotten at this point? What kind of abilities do you have outside of the Maverick powers? Anyway, Boomer Kuwanger. His stage is difficult, and it's why I wouldn't recommend you go after him early on, but his fight himself is pretty fun. If you have the dash already, then you can just jump back and forth from one wall to another, climbing up. He can't actually reach you up there, except when he throws his boomerang cutter from his head. That's the only way he can actually reach you. After he gets down to below half health, I find that he always just starts teleporting around the arena with almost no rhyme or reason. He rarely stops to attack at that point, so it's really just a timing thing, or just using his weakness, which is the homing torpedo, to get him when he's teleporting around. I would recommend having the homing torpedo when you come into this fight, not because you need it to make the fight easy. It's really for the second half of the fight when Boomer Kuwanger starts teleporting around. When he starts doing that, it's not difficult, it's just really annoying to land a shot in on him, because he's just coming in and out of he's just appearing in and out so constantly that you're never going to really have a good opportunity to shoot him, and sometimes he can teleport right on top of you, which is kind of annoying. So I would recommend you go in there with his weakness, which again is Launch Octopus. You don't have to use it for the entire fight. It is pretty fun to fight him without it, but it is recommended that you have it for the second half of the fight, teleporting in and out. His ability that we get is the Boomerang Cutter. One of the awesome things about the Boomerang Cutter is that if the boomerang returns to you, then whatever weapon energy you expended to use it, you get back. So that's great. And we also need the Boomerang Cutter here because we need it for the sub-tank that is hidden in this level. By the way, there is a collectibles guide for Mega Man X that is coming out, so if you want to see where all the things are and how to get all the things, you know, that will exist. So if I don't mention it here specifically in this video, don't worry, there is a specific collectibles guide video that will exist where you can actually just see where all the things are. That sub-tank that we got in Spark Mangel's stage is the fourth and final sub-tank. By the way, we can also get the hard tank in that stage with the Boomerang Cutter if we wanted to, if we didn't already get it using the dash for whatever reason. Last Maverick is Sting Chameleon, or Sting Chameleao, as he's known, in Rockman X. So, Sting Chameleon is the final example of a stage in Mega Man X that changes in some way, shape, or form depending on who you have beaten before going after him. In this case, if you have beaten Launch Octopus before going after Sting Chameleon, then there will be water in Sting Chameleon stage. Not a lot of water, just these little puddles of water here in the beginning, and one significant little collection of water that we will see in just a second. By the way, if you have the helmet, you can take... you don't have to worry about the rocks that are falling here. If you don't have the helmet, you take very little itty-bitty bits of damage here. You take 1 damage, so it's not a big deal. But if you do have the helmet, then you don't even have to worry about that, because the rocks don't even hurt you, so don't even worry about it. Anyway, our two collectibles in this stage are right here in the beginning. First off, you want to come down here. You have to have defeated Launch Octopus first, or this is not going to be water, and you won't be able to make the following jump. You also need the foot parts for the dash jump you have to make here, and it is recommended you have the helmet so that you can also destroy the rest of the rocks that are above you. You can use the foot parts to destroy all the rocks if you want to, but if you have the helmet, it's a little bit easier. If you use the foot parts and dash up to here to this little cliff, then you can fight a secret mini-boss and get access to the final Dr. Light capsule. This guy looks familiar if you played the classic Mega Man games. It's not actually Otto, but, you know, he looks pretty similar. Nice color scheme, just, you know, nice little connection to the past. It is weak to the Boomerang Cutter, just as Sting Chameleon, the boss of the stage, is weak to Boomerang Cutter. I wouldn't recommend you use too much Boomerang Cutter here, because you don't want to waste all of it before you get to Sting Chameleon. I mean, X does come built in with the energy saver, the energy equalizer, the energy balancer, whatever you want to call it. So If you use too much Boomerang Cutter here, you can get weapon energy throughout the stage to fill it up again. But you know, why risk that? It's not that difficult of a boss. It shoots its claw out at you. It jumps at you. When it shoots its claw out, it can head towards the wall that it shot at. But you know, jumps, claw, and that's about it. It goes down. It has a lot of health, but it does go down eventually. So don't worry about that. Here we have the final Dr. Light capsule. It's a very self-explanatory one. This is the armor part. This is the body part. The body part just reduces damage by half. So that's good. If you already have the foot parts from Chill Penguin and you want to make the game easier for yourself, come here early so you can have the ability to take half damage from everything, you know? That will change your routes and your order of yeah, that'll change the route and the order you take on Mavericks in, if you want. I mean, Mega Man X is a game where you plan out your routes based on not just the weaknesses that robots have, the weaknesses that Mavericks have, but the abilities that you currently have at your disposal, the things that you have collected currently at your disposal. So that armor part was the last upgrade that there is in this game. Well, I mean, technically, it's the last main upgrade of this game, but there's 2 more optional upgrades after this. But we are about as powerful as we're going to be in this game, so enjoy it. Enjoy the power fantasy. We started this game with nothing, very weak, less than half the HP that we have, taking full damage. Vile was able to kick our butts really, really easily with his ride armor, similar to the ride armor that we're riding right now. But now we are very powerful. We are ready for... We're ready to save the world. So can't wait. You can very quickly get that health, and then quickly jump back down to your ride armor, ride on it again to make sure it doesn't sink on. Just make sure it doesn't sink under the mud. Anytime you see ride armor, I'd recommend you use it. There's no reason not to use it most of the time. Yeah. As I mentioned, Sting Chameleon is the last stage to have some kind of a difference depending on who you beat first in the Maverick lineup. So if you haven't beaten Launch Octopus, there is no water, which doesn't really change much for the main stage itself. As you can see, this opening area that had the water plays basically exactly the same as it already did. The part that's different is this hidden area down here with the water. You really need that water to make the dash jump. If you don't have it, then you're not going to get the requisite height necessary to actually make it to the hard tank. So if you want that hard tank, you need to beat the Launch Octopus. Aside from that, though, everything else in this stage plays out exactly the same. I'm speeding up because there's literally nothing different. The ride armor is still there. This is still mud. That doesn't change. You would think that might change a little bit if you beat Launch Octopus first, but it doesn't. So there you go. Now let's go ahead and fight the last of the Mavericks. This is going to be Sting Chameleon. Kind of a difficult Maverick. I wouldn't recommend you go after him early. I would recommend you come in with his weakness, which is the Boomerang Cutter. Sting Chameleon has a habit, as you just saw there, to go invisible. He can hang from the ceiling and fire down some spikes. Those spikes are not instant kill. Those spikes at the top of the room, I think they are instant kill. So you want to make sure you don't go up too high. And if they're not instant kill, they at the very least do a bunch of damage. So I would recommend you just stay low to the ground and just stay away from those spikes up there as best you can. Sting Chameleon can also launch his Chameleon Sting attack. Hangs from the ceiling, fires down spikes. It is a difficult battle. I'm not. Yeah, I was going to say something else, but no, it's a difficult battle. I wouldn't recommend you go after him early on. His tongue attack is also really, really fast. So coming in here with no upgrades at all, it's you know, like with most things in Mega Man X, it is doable, but is really difficult. So I would recommend you come in here with his weakness, which again, Boomerang Cutter, and you make sure you have as many upgrades as you can, because Sting Chameleon is no pushover. Of the 8 Mavericks, I think he is one of the stronger ones. Spark Mandrill is up there if you're not using his weakness. And Armored Armadillo is just such a long, drawn-out affair if you don't use his weakness that Sting Chameleon is up there with difficulty alongside those two, I think. But he's down, so now with that, we can move forward and collect our hidden upgrades. So yay, we're almost done. That is our 8th and final Maverick. It's time to put an end to this threat. Who knows how that's going to be? I mean, we're not facing Dr. Wily anymore. We're facing this weird bald guy on the right side of the screen called Sigma. We'll see how that goes. And of course, we have to go after Vile again. We have to get our revenge on Vile. Before all that, though, we get a cutscene. Here we see that Zero was working on the was working at the sidelines to try and find where Sigma's fortress is. He's found it, so now it's time to stop Sigma's threat against all of humanity. There's Sigma himself. We get no indication of his powers or his weaknesses at all. We don't even know where he is on the map at this point. There is no specs for Sigma, and his stage is just his wonderful bald evil face there. That's it. That's all we get for Sigma. We don't know anything about him. That's a cool thing about Mega Man X. You don't know anything about its villain, really, so you get to go into the first castle totally blind, not knowing what to expect. It's going to be like Dr. Wily. It's going to be something totally different. Who knows? Anyway, I return to Armored Armadillo stage. This is the best stage to farm for health for your sub-tanks and lives if you're jonesing for some lives. These bats at the beginning are fantastic for grinding for health, lives. This particular bat right here has a high drop rate of lives. This particular bat actually comes from Mega Man 2. Originally, it's in many of the classic Mega Man games, but most famously in Mega Man 2, the batons. That's why it looks so different to basically everything else in this game, because it's actually a classic era Mega Man enemy. Having collected everything, though, we're going to actually explore the rest of Armored Armadillo's level. As you can see, not destroying the drill makes it impossible to collect that health that was hidden up behind those rocks. And as we'll also see, not destroying the drill makes it impossible to collect the heart container if you wanted to collect that heart container. So yeah, as you can see, you can't go up there that ledge anymore to collect that heart container. The reason why I'm going through Armored Armadillo stage again is because I'm looking for the secret upgrade that is hidden in Armored Armadillo stage. So there is a secret Dr. Light capsule hidden in the stage. You have to have all of the Dr. Light all of the other Dr. Light armor parts. You have to have all your hard tanks, all the sub tanks, and then you have to complete Armored Armadillo stage multiple times. When you get to the end of Armored Armadillo stage, collect the health pellet and then die. You do this, I think, like 3 or 4 times. I think this is my 4th time, and there will be a secret Dr. Light capsule. He is dressed up as Ryu from Street Fighter because he is going to give you a Street Fighter ability. For anyone that plays Mega Man X, Mega Man Cross Street Fighter, we get the Hadouken here, the Fireball. So go ahead and get one more upgrade here for our arms, and we get the Hadouken from Street Fighter. That thing does 32 damage. It kills anything that it touches instantly, including the final boss. We're never going to use it in this playthrough except to just show it off. To show it off here, you do it the exact same way as you use the Hadouken in Street Fighter, which you can see more about below. That's the end of the video. Thank you so much. Cutscene.